A heartbreaker in the opening game of the 2025-2026 season for your Boston Celtics as they lose to the Philadelphia 76ers 117-116. They had 2 looks to win it at the end of the game. Neither of those looks went to Jaylen Brown, the Celtics' #1 option for this season without Jason Tatum. Both looks went to Peyton Pritchard. He could not convert on either, may have gotten fouled, but besides that, the shots did not go in, and Philly was able to get out of Boston with the win. You could point to a lot of different reasons as to why Boston lost this game. They allowed a 40-plus point fourth quarter from the Philadelphia 76ers. A fourth quarter in which they were up by 13 points. That third quarter for Boston was their best 12-minute stretch of the game. They were fantastic. They went up double digits heading into the final period. Couldn't get it done, though. They ran out of gas. Transition was an issue, and Neemias Queta, in his Celtics starting center debut, for real, had a great game, but ended up fouling out. And the Celtics could not collect rebounds and corral rebounds at the end of the game. That ended up giving Philly more opportunities, and they walked out with the win. 117-116. Your Celtics lose. We're going to break it down and all the performances that happened because the Celtics let up some crazy individual performances from Philadelphia. First, though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We just passed 54,000 subscribers on our Celtics watch party for the opening night game, and we don't stop there. Win or lose, we are going to continue covering your Boston Celtics every single day on the channel. Free videos, 10 to 15 minutes, surrounding whatever's going on, the latest news and rumors, game recaps, trade rumors, injury news, and so much more. We also go live for all the Celtics games as well. So subscribe, turn notifications on, and you'll never miss a moment around your Boston Celtics here. All right, we got to talk about it, man, because we can't talk about any Celtics individual performance first before we talk about that Tyrese Maxey just absolutely tore you up. 40 points on 13 of 24 from the field. I mean, 7 of 9 from three-point range. He had a stretch in that fourth quarter where he was just unconscious. Get the ball in his hands, he's pulling, and he's hitting from 30 feet out. Look, you can't guard that a lot of the times, but C's couldn't stop him in transition either. They couldn't stop him going to the basket. And I think that's going to be a little bit of an issue so far with your C's so far this year. There's bad news. I would argue more bad news than good news in this game. We are going to get to some good news in just a little bit. Do not worry. But Tyrese Maxey frying you off the dribble today absolutely get cause for some concern here as far as the Celtics' perimeter on-ball defense goes. You know who else fried you off the dribble, off the catch, everywhere tonight? VJ Edgecombe in his NBA debut drops 34 on the Celtics here. Edgecombe and Maxey combined for 74 points. Nobody else from the Sixers did anything. I mean, Joel Embiid did absolutely nothing in this game. Got benched in the fourth quarter. Maxey and Edgecombe just took over. Quentin Grimes hit a huge three with about 3.5 minutes left where the Celtics did not really score thereafter. They had 2 points in the next 2.5 minutes after that. Sparked a 13-2 run. And look, man, we can point to different roster deficiencies here as, you know, the Celtics didn't have a lot of go-to guys down the stretch. Yeah, they have a great catch and shoot, you know, good spot-up players and Derrick White and Peyton Pritchard. But outside of Jaylen Brown, man, who had a really good game tonight, I really wish he got one of those last 2 looks to end the game. You don't have a lot of shot creators, like real consistent shot creators in the flow of a half-court offense other than Jaylen Brown. So we're pointing out a couple of bad things right now. I think the perimeter defense wasn't great. The rebounding wasn't great overall, but there were some positives, man. I actually think that the interior for Boston showed really good flashes, especially scoring the basketball. We'll talk about Neemias Queta in a little bit because his Celtics debut was awesome. Did foul out in this one, but we'll talk about him on the back half of today's show. We'll talk about more Celtics right now because Derrick White had a really solid second half, man. Ice cold in that first half. He was 1 for 6 from three-point range. Ended up, shooting 3 of 7 the rest of the way there and hit some pretty big shots for Boston down the stretch. Again, he's going to have to be an all-star level player this season if Boston wants to contend in the Eastern Conference. So, look, man, I was pleased with the performance for the most part. Just, you got to be able down the stretch to close these games. You can't allow 17-7 runs to end it, and you'll be in better spots the rest of the way. Defensively, as far as debuts go, for Anthony Simons, I actually thought he was pretty solid, man. I actually thought he was pretty good. Had 13 points in his Celtics debut, but what I really want to talk about as far as the good news goes here for Boston is the on-ball defense. I actually didn't think he was as bad of a defender as advertised to all of us over the offseason. I mean, he was attacking Joel Embiid in certain post-up situations where he wasn't looking, trying to get a swipe away from the basketball. He was jumping some passing lanes. He had a chase down as well with a strip that was really, really solid. Like, you saw some defensive activity and effort from the Celtics today, and I think that's the overarching good news, is that this team gave you 110% effort. And I wasn't going to question that when you brought in guys that were unproven, guys on contract years like Simons, Josh Minot, unproven, Peyton Pritchard assuming the starting point guard role, Neemias Queta assuming the starting center role for the first time, Jaylen Brown assuming the starting, number one option role really for the first time in his career. These guys were going to be hungry. They were always going to go out there and show you effort, and I was really proud of the effort that they put out there in this ball game. Now, we'll talk about more performances in this game in just a moment, specifically highlighting Neemias Queta because that is the great news tonight. The Celtics have a starting center that they can feel confident in. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Before you do, make sure you go down below, hit that thumbs up icon, like today's video if you want more Celtics content and you guys want to see us get back on track here with a win against the Knicks on Friday, who also started 1-0 as well. We'll talk about Neemias Queta in just a moment. First, though, got to tell you guys about our sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Tonight's live stream is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. It can actually get to up to 2,000 times your money watching your Boston Celtics in one single daily fantasy sports lineup because it's daily fantasy made easy. All you guys got to do is pick 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. Whether it's basketball, we got full football in full swing. We got baseball World Series coming up as well. You can mix and match all these different sports on Prize Picks. It's the best daily fantasy sports app in the game because we know a lot of apps out there offer this stuff, but Prize Picks is the best because they offer the best features, like Stacks, the only daily fantasy sports app that you can pick multiple stat projections from the same player in the same lineup. So if you wanted to take Jaylen Brown points, Jaylen Brown steals, Jaylen Brown blocks, all in the same lineup, you can do so only on Prize Picks. My lineup for tonight's basketball action as the season gets underway. I'm going across 2 games here. I got OG Anunoby in the Knicks versus Cavs game to have less than 15.5 points. I have Sam Merrill of the Cavs, that sharpshooter, to have more than 1.5 3-pointers made. That's a goblin pick, which is a little bit lesser of a payout, but it's higher chances of hitting. I got Anthony Simons more than 16.5 points in that Boston versus Philly game, and Derrick White more than 31.5 points, rebounds, assists, as well as Quentin Grimes, a guy who has hurt the Celtics a couple of times in his career, more than 14 points. You can tell my picks or fade them, but trust me, I went 5 for 5 on my picks on Prize Picks in the opener last night. Just do it on Prize Picks. Download the app today, and for new users, you can get $50 in your account in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, but you got to use our promo code CLNS. So download the Prize Picks app, use the code CLNS for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Neemias Queta. What a debut for the Celtics' new starting center. The great news from this ballgame is that we have a starting center that we can feel confident in. 17 points, 8 rebounds after, I think, only having 1 in the first half. So, he really stepped things up over the final 24 minutes of this game, and unfortunately just did foul out there with about 2 minutes remaining, and the Celtics couldn't rebound when he came out of the game. They allowed an offensive board from the Philadelphia 76ers. They allowed, the Celtics couldn't get any offensive boards themselves when they got shots around the rim. If he's not going to be out there to close games, they're going to be really struggling. And you don't have Jayson Tatum and his defensive rebounding prowess and his overall rebounding prowess at the end of ball games. You're going to be shit out of luck. And Xavier Tillman did come up with a clutch rebound. I want to talk a little bit about him as well because he was honestly really solid tonight. I thought he played good defense. He was playing within the flow of the offense, didn't necessarily make any threes. Don't really want to see him take too many, to be quite honest with you. But he showed out. He did his thing. Chris Boucher did a little bit. I wasn't too impressed with what I saw from him in his debut, but that's going to come in time. A lot of these guys are going to get acclimated together and all that good stuff. I was really just overall impressed with what we saw from Queta. Didn't necessarily play, crazy good interior defense. Didn't have any blocks. Didn't have any steals in this game registered, but Joel Embiid did nothing on him all game. Couldn't get into any type of groove. Ended up getting benched, like I said, again, in that fourth quarter. So I was impressed with Neemias Queta, and so was Joe Mazzulla. He said, quote, "He's got it in him to be good for us. The standard's high for us. I thought he answered the call, and he just has to keep getting better and better." So the great news is our coach is confident in Neemias Queta. You should be too. If you want Neemias Queta to keep this thing up and continue to put up performances like this, type his jersey number down in the comment section. Give me a couple 88s to show your support for the new Celtics starting center. All right, a couple more things here because Joe Mazzulla did go with some different lineups here, a lot of different lineup combinations. We saw a little Luka Garza. Those minutes were brutal. We did not see Hugo Gonzalez in this game, so interesting there. But I didn't mind what we saw from Boston tonight. A lot of fixable stuff. They shot 25% from three, guys. Like, you're not going to win games shooting 11 for 45 or whatever it was from three-point range, so we'll be okay. Those numbers will get better. Like, promise, it's Missoula ball. We all know that things regress to the mean eventually. This team's going to put up a lot of threes. We can't blame all the threes as well, by the way. We cannot blame the volume of three-point shots on the Celtics' loss here. They shot more twos than threes. They got to the free throw line a ton. Just weren't able to close it in the last 12 minutes of the game. And that happened last season with, much better talent level across the board for the Boston Celtics. But as far as some lineups that they went with a couple 3-guard lineups here with Derrick White, Peyton Pritchard, and Anthony Simons all on the court at the same time. And they were interesting. They were fun. They were fast. They were getting up and down the floor. And Joe Mazzulla had a couple of things to say about them. He said, good speed, good pace. I thought we really generated a lot of cross matches with where they were able to get out there. And that's what the Celtics try to do, man. They try to hunt mismatches all game long. He said, I thought they did a good job of finding opportunities for themselves, but also creating. I didn't think they did the best overall job at creating shots for themselves in this game personally, but he said, I think as they start to understand spacing and learning, I think at the end, we just had miscommunication on late game action. That's just having an understanding of that. But like the pace that they play with, the spacing that they had, and having those three guys that can attack the paint and penetrate and finish or kick is going to be good for us. And that's true, man. I mean, Anthony Simons had some awesome rim runs today down the lane where the Sixers were playing a couple of Olay defenses. Jaylen Brown had a couple as well attacking the rim. It's going to be fine. This is a brand new team, and things are going to be okay. It's a gap year, folks. Like, it's a gap year at the end of the day. Is this team going to win 60 games? No. But is it going to be a fun 82-game viewing experience? I think so. Just got to get Jaylen Brown the ball there at the end of the game there on those final two possessions. Joe Mazzulla calls it miscommunication. Well, that means it's something that we can shore up here before we get out there on Friday against the Knicks. If you guys are going to be with us on Friday against the Knicks, drop a Shamrock emoji down in the chat right now, as that will do it for today's edition of Celtics Today by Chat Sports. Make sure you are subscribed. Once again, we just passed 84,000 subs on the channel. We're going to be live again on Friday for Celtics versus Knicks. We'll see you guys all then, and as always, let's go C's.